Well, Distell is South Africa's leading producer and marketer of wine, spirits and flavoured alcoholic beverages with a market cap of 19 billion rand. The company is in the process of creating an international footprint in key markets in North and Latin America, Europe, Asia, Pacific and Africa. And Cape Vin Remgrow Investments holds a 58% stake in Distell. This is a fact that we must remember. Distell has a price-to-earnings ratio of 17 and a dividend yield of 2.9%. So already we're dealing with a relatively small free float, given that huge exposure from Cape Vin's perspective. Chris, your feelings?
Yeah, it's a tiny free float. I think about, what, 13% or thereabouts. It really is very, very small. SAB Miller, Remgrow and Cape Vin hold, 87% of it collectively. So yes, that's problematic. But Distell itself, I've always regarded as being a great company. It's, you go back a few years, a lot of people regard it as being a kind of widows and orphans type company, in the sense that one didn't really expect too much out of them in terms of earnings growth. And it wasn't shoot the lights out stuff, but it was very, very predictable and very, very stable. And if you look at the kind of products they've got there, I mean, this isn't just beer. Going back to Paul's earlier statement, they're not a one-product company by any stretch of the imagination. You've got wine, you've got spirits, you've got
fancy alcoholic beverages.
Yes, exactly. So it straddles the entire spectrum. And if you actually look at their track record, it has been remarkably strong over the past 10, 15, 20 years. So no, look, I think there's a lot to get quite excited about in this company.
Can we get you excited, Paul, or is there no hope on that front?
No, look, it's certainly a credible operation at that scale. And obviously, I don't quite know how the competition authorities allowed the old distillers and Stellenbosch Farmers Winery to come together anyway. Maybe they looked into the future and they saw all those independent wine estates and they thought, okay, well, they can compete with them. So they've got the preeminent position in the local industry, and that includes obviously the trade that goes through the bottle stores here. And then, as you alluded to, they're trying to expand the footprint globally with things like Amarula and, you know, the local wines and so on. So far, so good. They've got a number of big brands. They've got premium stuff. They've got the low-end stuff like, you know, Fish Eagle Scotch that's sold in little plastic sachets.
Easy on this, please don't go bashing any of the brands out there, Paul Theron.
Stuff into your armpits when you're going into Loftus, you know, so they can't
I can only say I'm so sorry to those brands that we're dissing right now.
I don't know, it's, these are solid operations, the margins are good, and, you know, they continue to expand. The trouble is, as Chris says, the liquidity is poor. I suppose SAB Miller may do something with their stake at some point. One gets the feeling that maybe they'll focus on the beer globally, but maybe not. Okay,
let's look a bit, and Chris, thank you so much. There we go. Our share price graph, what we're doing is sitting just above 90 Rand. Is that correct?
Which is pretty much an all-time high, I think, and definitely a high within the last 5 years. You can see, like everything, it was looking bleak in early 09. But since then, it's charted the same sort of pattern that stocks like Tiger Brands, AVI, ShopRite, Checkers have done, which is, you know, to the right and up.
But bottom line, it's like hen's teeth, given that small free float and you can't get hold of it.
Yeah, that is problematic. Although for the private investors, it's not as much of a problem. Look, I think what this share price is reflecting is as with SAB Miller and quite a few other companies, as Paul mentioned, Tiger Brands, for example, defensive stocks. In this kind of market, you know, locally and globally, where there's still an awful lot of uncertainty around, I think people would rather go and stick with well-managed, quality, defensive stocks like this, and that's probably why the share price has taken off.
Well, look, it wasn't unscathed in the 2008 crisis. I mean, it didn't show much of a defensive nature there, did it?
Look, it's recession-resistant rather than recession-proof, and I think the same goes for cigarettes. So, yes, it's obviously going to take a knock with the market, yes.
That could be a case to buy now. Paul, if you aren't so keen on the economic environment at the moment, we know you are, you think everything's rosy, but for those that are concerned, perhaps it is going for a well-managed defensive stock. As you say, it's not recession-proof, but it is, what is the term that you used there, Chris?
Recession-resistant.
Recession-resistant.
Sounds like the difference between a waterproof watch and a water-resistant watch.
Exactly that.
The one you can't jump into the swimming pool, but you can do the dishes. Look, I mean, the other thing about them is that the liquor environment is more brand-intensive. So to put that in perspective, beer is a, you know, short-dated, mass-produced product which is available pretty much everywhere in varying qualities. But the The liquor end of the business is higher margin, and the rewards for having a branded product that people really associate with is higher, and you can sell it for more. So what are the margins on Amarula? They must be enormous, because all you need is liquor, cream, and a bit of that, marula berry stuff. Which
I
can't
don't
be all
like
that
you to
expensive.
unpack the ingredients in any products, please. You don't know what goes into these products.
And look, the Africa thing has got to be big as well, because they can ship the stuff into all the game stores and all the ShopRite stores around the country and around the region.
Do you know something we haven't touched on up until now that affects SAB and Distell is the possible impact of a ban on alcohol advertising. And some people might think this is a negative. Well, in fact, when you've got big market shares like both of these companies have, it's actually a good thing. I don't think either company would come out in public and admit that. But what it means is that if you have a ban on advertising any of these products, it means that any new competitor will have the devil's own job trying to actually make any entry into these markets.
So it actually creates a moat, a further moat, or entrenches that moat for the existing companies.
Will be devastated not to have those clip drift ads anymore. That would be terrible. And the Amarula ads, I'm really going to miss those
or
too.
Or the Fish Eagle ads either.
I'm jumping in here, hot or not, on Distell. Chris Gilmour.
It's a hot stock.
Paul Theron, hot or not on Distell?
I'm going to go again. I mean, defensive, yes, but the dividend yield's not high enough. And yes, I'm not a big fan of booze and its contribution to society. So.